The signal. Maya Chen floated in the observation dome of Kepler Station, the most distant human outpost in the Kuiper Belt. Her eyes traced the vast darkness between stars as she adjusted the deep space scanner array. 6 months into her solar research mission, and the isolation was beginning to wear on her. But today something was different. A signal had appeared, faint, rhythmic, and definitely artificial. "Control, this is Science Officer Chen. I'm tracking an anomalous signal from the outer system. Frequency doesn't match any known human transmission patterns." After a 14-minute communications delay, Houston's response was predictably cautious. "Officer Chen, log the signal and maintain observation protocols. Do not attempt direct contact. Relief shuttle departs in 36 hours. Maya smiled to herself. 36 hours was plenty of time for preliminary investigation, especially when the signal was coming from just beyond Pluto's orbit, easily within range of her station's auxiliary craft. Acknowledged control. No direct contact. She began prepping the station's scout vessel, a small but nimble craft designed for short exploratory missions. Protocol dictated she wait for the relief team. But this discovery could be the breakthrough humanity had been searching for. Proof of intelligent life beyond Earth. 6 hours later, Maya guided the scout ship toward the signal's origin. The source appeared to be a small metallic object, no larger than a satellite, its surface covered in intricate patterns that seemed to shift and change as she approached. "This isn't natural," she whispered, recording everything through the ship's external cameras. Control would have a collective heart attack if they could see this. Maya extended the scout's robotic arm, carefully maneuvering it toward the object. As the mechanical fingers made contact, a blinding flash of blue light erupted from the device. Maya shielded her eyes, but not before the light washed over her. When her vision cleared, the object was gone. But something felt different. Her mind buzzed with new awareness, as though dormant parts of her brain had suddenly awakened. Images flooded her consciousness. Vast starships, worlds transformed, and civilizations rising and falling across millennia. And through it all, a recurring symbol, a spiraling helix that matched the birthmark on her shoulder, one she'd had since childhood. Maya's hands trembled as she steered the scout ship back to Kepler Station. Her body felt electrified, heightened. In the station's lab, she ran a quick DNA analysis on herself, comparing it to her baseline medical records. The results were impossible. Her genetic structure was changing, previously dormant sequences activating in cascading patterns. "What's happening to me?" she whispered, staring at the readouts. Then, without consciously trying, she knew the answer. The information had been encoded in the strange object, waiting for contact with human DNA, waiting for her. Humans weren't just another species that evolved on Earth. They were engineered, their genetic code containing locked potential placed there by beings called the progenitors, an ancient race that had seeded dozens of worlds with modified versions of their own DNA. The progenitors had vanished months ago, but they had left behind guardians to watch over their creations until they were ready to claim their inheritance. Maya's discovery was not random. The signal had activated because humanity had reached a developmental threshold, expanding beyond their home system. The time had come for humans to remember what they truly were. As this realization crystallized in Maya's mind, Kepler Station's proximity alerts blared. An unknown vessel had entered the system, massive in scale and unlike any human design. Maya accessed the external cameras and saw the intruder, a sleek, predatory craft with organic-looking protrusions that pulsed with energy. The communications array activated unbidden, and a harsh, clicking language filled the station. Though Maya had never heard it before, she understood perfectly, another gift from her awakening genetics. "Attention human outpost. This is Commander Vexnar of the Concordat Vanguard. We have detected a progenitor beacon activation in your sector. Surrender the activation key and prepare to be boarded. Resistance will result in immediate termination." Maya's heart raced. The Concordat, a coalition of 7 spacefaring species united by one common fear. the return of the progenitors or their designated heirs. For thousands of years, they had methodically eliminated any species showing signs of progenitor genetics, maintaining their dominance across this arm of the galaxy. The activation key is already gone, she transmitted back, hoping to buy time. It self-destructed after contact. A pause. Then, deception is futile. Our scans detect progenitor gene expression already beginning in your biology. You will be harvested for study. Your world will be quarantined and subsequently sterilized. Maya's newly enhanced mind processed the threat with unusual clarity. Earth had no defenses against a species capable of interstellar travel. Humanity would be exterminated before even understanding what they were facing. Unless she accessed Kepler's emergency protocols and initiated a data burst to Earth. Everything she had recorded about the object, the Concordat, and the changes happening within her. Then she turned to the station's propulsion systems. If the Concordat wanted her, they would have to catch her first, and she would lead them as far from Earth as possible. "Computer, plot fastest course to Saturn's moon Titan," she commanded. Something in her awakening memory suggested an importance to that distant moon. Perhaps another progenitor site, one that might help humanity defend itself. As Kepler station's engines fired, detaching the habitation ring to serve as her escape craft, Maya felt her consciousness expanding further. She could sense the Concordat ship's movements before they happened, anticipating the enemy's tactics with impossible precision. Her hands danced across the controls with new dexterity, executing maneuvers that should have been beyond human capability. The Concordat vessel fired, energy weapons lancing toward her fleeing craft. Maya didn't evade. Somehow she knew how to do something better. She focused her thoughts, and a shimmering field materialized around her ship, the enemy fire dispersing harmlessly on contact. "This is only the beginning," she whispered, accelerating toward the inner solar system. Behind her, the Concordat vessel adjusted course to follow, its communications now silent. The hunt had begun, and with it, the awakening of humanity's true potential. Back on Earth, Maya's emergency transmission reached Houston Control, cascading through military and scientific channels. As analysts scrambled to make sense of the data, reports began flooding in worldwide. People experiencing strange dreams, developing unexpected abilities, birthmarks identical to Maya's suddenly appearing on skin. The activation key had done more than awaken Maya. Its signal was resonating across human DNA globally, beginning a species-wide transformation. The Concordat had come to eliminate a potential threat, but they were too late. The ancient weapon was already awakening, not in some hidden vault or secret technology, but in the very genes of humanity itself. The Resistance. 3 months after Maya's encounter at Kepler Station, Earth was a changed world. The Concordat's invasion fleet arrived with overwhelming force. 93 warships positioning themselves in strategic formations around the planet. Their initial diplomatic overtures were merely a formality. They demanded Earth's unconditional surrender and the handover of all individuals showing signs of genetic activation. When world governments hesitated, the Concordat demonstrated their power by eliminating humanity's lunar base with a single concentrated energy blast. 10,000 colonists perished in an instant. Dr. Elijah Okafor watched the destruction from NASA's subterranean facility in Colorado, where he had been analyzing Maya Chen's transmission since it arrived. As the moon's surface erupted in a terrible blossom of light, he felt something shift within him, a response to extreme stress that triggered dormant genes in his own DNA. "They've made a critical error," he said, his eyes now containing flecks of luminescent blue, identical to the changes documented in Maya's medical scans. Fear accelerates the awakening. Around the world, millions experienced similar transformations as news of the lunar base's destruction spread. What had been isolated incidents of unexplained abilities now became a global phenomenon. In Sao Paulo, a schoolteacher discovered she could perceive and manipulate electromagnetic fields. In Nairobi, twins developed a form of collective consciousness that extended to others nearby. In Osaka, an elderly gardener found he could accelerate or halt organic growth with a thought. The Concordats' attack had triggered exactly what they had come to prevent. Beneath the streets of Paris, Maya Chen sat in a hastily established resistance headquarters, surrounded by scientists, military personnel, and civilians who had manifested particularly strong abilities. After evading the Concordat vessel that pursued her from Kepler Station, she had managed to return to Earth just before the invasion fleet's arrival, bringing with her crucial knowledge extracted from her awakened genetic memory. "The Titan facility is key," she explained, projecting images directly from her mind onto the wall. Another new ability. The progenitors built outposts throughout the solar system, but the Titan installation contains their most advanced defensive systems and a genetic repository that could accelerate our transformation. General Helena Rivera, formerly of NATO's Special Forces and now displaying remarkable tactical precognition, studied the projected schematics. The Concordat has established a blockade throughout the system. Getting to Titan would require bypassing at least 12 patrol cruisers. Conventional travel, yes, Maya agreed. But some of us are developing abilities that might allow alternative methods. She turned to Xiang Wei, a theoretical physicist whose genetic awakening had given him intuitive understanding of spatial mechanics. "Dr. Wei, your thoughts?" Xiang nodded, his eyes glowing faintly as he accessed his new knowledge. The progenitors utilize what we might call folded space transit. If we can adapt their principles using terrestrial technology, we could potentially bypass the Concordat blockade entirely. "That's precisely why we need the Titan facility," Maya explained. "It contains the templates for technologies beyond our current capabilities. With them, we might stand a chance against the Concordat." The Resistance had established a global network using newly awakened telepaths to coordinate their efforts while avoiding Concordat detection. Similar meetings were happening simultaneously in hidden locations across all continents, sharing information and resources through this psychic web. In orbit, the Concordat continued their methodical approach, deploying scout ships to major population centers to identify and capture humans showing strong signs of genetic activation. Their harvesting operations met increasingly effective resistance as awakened humans coordinated their abilities to ambush and disable the alien hunters. Commander Vexnar observed the escalating situation with growing concern. "The contamination is spreading faster than projected," he reported to the Concordat Council. "Request permission for immediate sterilization protocols." The Council's response was swift. "Negative. Priority remains retrieval of activation keys and advanced specimens. The human awakening must be studied before determination of final action. Continue harvesting operations." Vexinar's mandibles clicked in frustration. As a military commander, he recognized the strategic error in giving the humans time to develop their abilities further. Every day strengthened their resistance. Back in Paris, Maya's team finalized their plan to reach Titan. They had retrofitted a submarine-launched space vehicle with experimental technology derived from Xiang's understanding of progenitor principles. The craft, named Prometheus, would attempt to create a momentary fold in space, jumping directly from Earth orbit to Titan, while bypassing the conventional space between. "The calculations must be precise," Xiang cautioned. "Even a minute deviation could send us into the sun or deep space." "I trust your abilities," Maya replied. "They're not just human innovation now. They're your birthright awakening." The team of 12 was carefully selected based on their awakened abilities. Maya for her rapidly expanding genetic memory, Xiang for his spatial understanding, General Rivera for tactical precognition, Dr. Okafor for his biological insight, twin telepaths Sophia and Samuel Cato for maintaining communication with Earth, mechanical intuitive Raj Patel for interfacing with progenitor technology, energy manipulator Zain of Al-Farsi for defensive capabilities, probability calculator Jin-Ho Park for navigational safety, pattern analyst Gabriela Ortiz for decoding progenitor languages, accelerated healer Marcus Williams for emergency medical support, and perceptual enhancer Thomas Novak for detecting Concordat movements. The launch was planned for midnight from an abandoned oil platform in the North Sea. As the team boarded Prometheus, Concordat sensors detected unusual energy readings and dispatched interceptors. "They found us," General Rivera announced, her eyes unfocused as she perceived potential futures. 3 vessels approaching from high orbit. Arrival in 6 minutes. "We don't have 6 minutes," Maya responded, settling into the neural interface chair that would allow her to directly control Prometheus using her enhanced cognition. "Dr. Wei, initialize the fold drive. Everyone secure yourselves. This technology is still theoretical." As Concordat energy weapons began bombarding the platform's defensive shields, maintained by Zainab's newly developed abilities, the Prometheus activated. Unlike conventional spacecraft, its engines didn't produce visible thrust. Instead, the space around the vessel seemed to ripple and distort, light bending impossibly as reality itself folded around them. In the command ship, Vexnar received the urgent report from his interceptor squad. "Target vessel has disappeared, Commander. Energy signature suggests dimensional manipulation consistent with progenitor technology." Vexnar's compound eyes narrowed. "They're heading for Titan. The ancient facility has been located." He turned to his first officer. "Redirect all available ships to Saturn's orbit. The humans must not reach the installation." But it was already too late. On Titan's methane-rich surface, the Prometheus materialized with a cascade of blue energy. The journey that should have taken weeks had occurred in seconds, though not without cost. The experimental drive was burned out, and several crew members suffered nosebleeds and temporary neural disruption from the dimensional stress. "We made it," Maya announced, wincing against her headache as she studied the orange-hazed landscape through the viewports. And there it is. Rising from Titan's methane seas stood a massive structure unlike anything human-built, a spiraling tower of crystalline material that pulsed with internal light, surrounded by smaller facilities that appeared to merge seamlessly with the moon's surface. The progenitor outpost had remained hidden for millennia, its external appearance camouflaged until activated by the approach of awakened human DNA. "It's beautiful," Dr. Okafor whispered. "It's our salvation," Maya corrected, leading them toward the airlock. "And we have very little time before the Concordat arrives in force." As the team donned specialized environmental suits and prepared to venture onto Titan's surface, they all felt it, a resonance emanating from the progenitor facility, calling to the activated genes within them. The structure wasn't just recognizing them, it was welcoming them home. And in orbit around Earth, thousands of humans with newly awakened abilities looked toward Saturn, sensing what was about to unfold, the next phase of humanity's transformation. And with it, the power to challenge the Concordat's dominance among the stars. The Ascension. The progenitor facility on Titan recognized Maya and her team immediately, entrance portals spiraling open as they approached. Inside, the environment automatically adjusted to human requirements, atmospheric composition changing and temperature rising to comfortable levels. They removed their helmets, breathing air that hadn't existed moments before. "It's reconfiguring itself for us," Raj observed, his mechanical intuition allowing him to sense the facility's operations. "The entire structure is responsive to our presence, adaptive technology beyond anything we've developed." Maya felt a familiar resonance as they moved deeper into the facility, the same connection she had experienced with the activation key near Pluto. But here, the sensation was exponentially stronger, filling her mind with knowledge so vast and complex that she struggled to process it. "This way," she said, following an intuitive pull rather than any visible indicators. The team moved through spiraling corridors that seemed to shift and realign themselves, eventually entering a vast chamber at the facility's core. At its center floated a pulsating crystalline structure, radiating energy in patterns that matched human brainwave frequencies. "The Nexus," Maya whispered, the term coming to her from awakened memory. "The heart of the genetic repository." Dr. Okafor approached it cautiously, his own awakened biology allowing him to perceive the complex information encoded within the crystal structure. It contains the complete progenitor genome, he realized, and modifications for thousands of potential adaptive paths. Our current awakening is just the beginning. The twin telepaths, Sophia and Samuel, suddenly tensed. Concordat vessels approaching, they announced simultaneously. At least 30 ships, including 3 dreadnoughts. They've located us. How long? General Rivera asked, her precognitive ability already cycling through defensive scenarios. 20 minutes, perhaps less, Sophia responded. They're using some form of accelerated propulsion. Maya turned to the team. Then we need to activate the Nexus immediately. Dr. Wei, Dr. Okafor, help me interface with the system. The 3 positioned themselves around the crystalline structure, guided by instinct rather than instruction. As their hands made contact with its surface, the entire chamber illuminated with cascading patterns of light. The Nexus responded to their touch, extending filaments of luminescent energy that connected with each team member's neural pathways. Knowledge flooded through these connections, not just information but actual physical changes, as the progenitor technology accelerated and refined their genetic awakening. Each person's unique abilities amplified exponentially, while new capabilities emerged to complement them. The facility is connecting to similar installations throughout the solar system, Gabriella announced, her pattern recognition ability allowing her to interpret the data streams. There are nodes on Mars, Venus, Europa, dozens of them, all dormant until now. And Earth? Maya asked, her consciousness partly merged with the Nexus itself. Thousands of micro-installations, Gabriella confirmed, hidden beneath oceans, inside mountains, within the polar ice. They've been there all along, waiting for activation. Through their telepathic connection to Earth, Sophia and Samuel broadcast what they were witnessing. Across the planet, awakened humans received these images and knowledge, understanding what needed to be done. In the Mariana Trench, deep-sea researchers discovered a progenitor node that began enhancing the abilities of everyone within range. Beneath the Sahara, another installation activated when approached by locals manifesting early-stage abilities. In Antarctica, a research station transformed into an awakening center as scientists made contact with a progenitor archive frozen in the ice for millennia. The effect cascaded globally. What had been isolated incidents of genetic activation became a coordinated evolutionary leap. Abilities stabilized and refined, guided by the ancient technology rather than emerging chaotically. Humans who showed no previous signs of activation suddenly found dormant genetic sequences switching on, catalyzed by proximity to those already transformed. In orbit, Commander Vexnar watched in mounting horror as his sensors detected energy signatures consistent with progenitor technology activating across the planet below. Initiate sterilization immediately, he ordered, overriding the Council's earlier directive. Target all major population centers simultaneously. The Concordat fleet repositioned, weapon systems charging for a coordinated planetary bombardment. But as they prepared to fire, something unprecedented occurred. Earth's atmosphere began to shimmer with a field of energy unlike anything in Concordat records, a planetary shield manifesting through the collective effort of millions of awakened humans working in tandem with activated progenitor technology. The first salvo of Concordat weapons fire dissipated harmlessly against this barrier. Vexnar ordered increased power, directing the full might of his fleet against the shield. It held. At the Titan facility, Maya and her team felt the attack through their connection to Earth. We need to do more than defend, she decided. Show them who we truly are. Through the Nexus, they accessed the facility's most powerful systems, including its defensive capabilities. Across Saturn's orbit, ancient weapons platforms began emerging from within the gas giant's clouds and from its numerous moons, systems that had remained hidden and dormant for countless millennia. We're not seeking to destroy them, Maya clarified as the team connected with these platforms through the Nexus. just demonstrate that we cannot be conquered. The progenitor defense systems activated with precision, targeting the Concordat vessels around Titan with beams of energy that didn't damage the ships, but instead disabled their propulsion and weapon systems. In moments, Vexenar's elite squadron found themselves drifting powerless. Through the telepathic network, Maya opened direct communication with the Concordat commander. "Your sterilization attempt has failed, Commander Vexenar. The same will happen to your fleet at Earth if you continue this aggression. The progenitor threat must be contained." Vexenar responded, his translator struggling to convey the complex emotions behind his words: fear, determination, and something akin to religious fervor. "Your species cannot be allowed to reclaim their creator's power." "You misunderstand who the progenitors were," Maya replied, sharing images directly into the commander's mind. Knowledge extracted from the Nexus showing the true history that the Concordat had distorted over millennia. The progenitors hadn't been conquerors or destroyers. They were guardians and cultivators of life, who had seeded countless worlds before facing extinction from a cosmic catastrophe they couldn't overcome. Their final act was ensuring their legacy would continue through carefully engineered successor species, each carrying different aspects of progenitor capabilities, but all designed to eventually cooperate and restore balance to the galaxy. The Concordat itself carries progenitor genetics, Maya revealed, modified for stability rather than adaptability. "You were meant to maintain order until species like ours evolved to join you as equals, not subjects." This revelation spread through the Concordat fleet as captains and crew members experienced resonances with the activated progenitor technology, echoes in their own genetic code responding to ancestral memory. In the council chambers, urgent debates erupted as factions argued over the implications. Some demanded escalation and the immediate destruction of Earth regardless of cost. Others, influenced by the revealed truths that aligned with ancient myths preserved in their cultures, urged caution and reassessment. Back on Titan, the Nexus connection deepened, showing Maya and her team the final piece of the progenitor's plan. It was never about one species reclaiming dominance, she understood at last. The awakening was designed to trigger cooperation. Through the telepathic network, she shared this understanding with humanity. Their transformation wasn't meant to establish them as conquerors, but as catalysts for a new era of interspecies collaboration. The abilities manifesting among humans were complementary to those of other progenitor-seeded species, including those within the Concordat. At Earth, the standoff continued as more Concordat vessels found their weapon systems inexplicably failing when attempting to breach the planetary shield. Captain Lyanus of the scientific vessel Eternal Seeker broke formation, approaching Earth under a flag of truce. "We wish to witness the awakening directly," she communicated. "If what you claim is true, it changes everything our civilization has believed for millennia." World leaders, advised by awakened humans connected to the Titan team, cautiously agreed to allow a small delegation to land. The meeting took place at a newly activated progenitor site in New Zealand, where human representatives demonstrated their evolving abilities not as weapons, but as tools for healing, creation, and understanding. On Titan, Maya prepared to disengage from the Nexus, their mission accomplished. The facility would remain active, a permanent outpost for humanity's continuing evolution and a beacon for potential allies among the stars. "What happens now?" General Rivera asked as the team gathered at the Prometheus, which the facility had repaired and enhanced for their return journey. Maya smiled, the blue luminescence in her eyes now a permanent feature. "Now we become what we were always meant to be, not just heirs to the progenitors, but architects of a new future. One where humanity's greatest weapon isn't our power, but our capacity for connection." As Prometheus departed Titan, utilizing its newly upgraded full drive to return instantly to Earth, the Concordat Council reached its decision. The invasion would be suspended, replaced by cautious diplomatic engagement with the awakened human civilization. The ancient prophecies preserved in their oldest records, speaking of a time when the children of the creators would return to unite the scattered inheritors, could no longer be ignored. 6 months later, on the restored lunar surface, representatives from Earth and 7 concordat species gathered to sign the Progenitor Accord, the first interstellar treaty acknowledging humanity's rightful place among spacefaring civilizations. The document incorporated principles extracted from progenitor archives, establishing a framework for cooperation rather than conquest. Maya Chen, now serving as Earth's primary diplomat to extraterrestrial species, addressed the assembled delegates. Today marks not the end of our journey, but its true beginning. The stars have always been our destination, not just as explorers but as returners, coming home to the cosmos that seeded our existence. Across Earth and its growing colonies, humanity continued to evolve. The chaotic early phase of awakening had stabilized into a new form of human potential, with abilities manifesting in ways that complemented rather than divided society. Children born to awakened parents showed even greater genetic stability and capability, demonstrating that this was not a temporary transformation, but the next stage in human evolution. In deep space, beyond the reach of current human or concordat vessels, ancient monitoring systems registered these developments and transmitted the data to destinations unknown. The progenitors themselves might have vanished, but somewhere, something was still watching, waiting to see what their children would become. The ancient weapon had awakened, and space would never be the same. But the weapon wasn't a device or technology. It was humanity itself, transformed into something that could not be conquered because its true power lay not in destruction, but in connection, adaptation, and understanding. The qualities that had allowed humans to survive on Earth now prepared them to thrive among the stars. As Maya gazed at the Earth rising above the lunar horizon, she felt the resonance of millions of awakened minds working in harmony, the true inheritance that would carry humanity forward into a universe far larger and more wondrous than they had ever imagined.